My fiancé ghosted us on our wedding day. How might I quell my overwhelming trepidation? At 28, I hover on the verge of wedlock, yet my intended is conspicuously absent. This day is designated for the formalization of our legal alliance, with the festive commemoration slated for Saturday. Slumber has forsaken me for a full rotation. Trepidation constricts me like an ever-tightening serpent. By way of context, we cohabited for 3 years prior to being sundered by distance for an additional 18 months. I have journeyed back to my native soil for but a week's duration to reunite with him, embrace kin, and cement our vows. In the preceding month, he has become an apparition, evaporating for intervals extending over weeks. I am cognizant that he contends with a tempest of psychological tribulations, yet despite my implorations, he remains insensible to the agony his silence begets and the burden it imposes upon our dialogue. In moments of tumult, he constructs insurmountable barricades, particularly excluding me. It rends my spirit to acknowledge that, although he avows I am his nearest confidant and future consort, he neither trusts nor esteems me sufficiently to lighten his burdens through mutual vulnerability. I nurtured aspirations that my homecoming and the significance of our imminent union would rouse him from these elusive tendencies, yet alas, it has not transpired. Yesterday, he confronted a crucial juncture at his vocation, a meeting that would either elevate his standing or render him unemployed, and now silence pervades. My calls reverberate unanswered, my missives read yet disregarded. As dawn breaks, scant hours separate us from formalizing our matrimonial documents, yet I have remained vigilant throughout the night, ensnared by the incessant contemplation that perhaps this is not his true desire, that he merely consents to appease me, despite our mutual resolution. I remain incapable of contacting him. My endeavors to communicate are exhaustive, yet this inflicts profound wounds upon my very essence. A fragment of me longs to invade his domicile, to demand elucidations for such callous treatment from one who professes affection. Yet I am aware this would merely propel him deeper into seclusion, ensnared in contrition and descending further into culpability and despair. How may I serve as a bastion of support amid his psychological tempest, while concurrently asserting that this conduct is profoundly disrespectful and injurious, utterly insufferable in my estimation? Prior to our period of separation, he entreated me to embrace the distance. I anticipated wretchedness arising from his communicative deficiencies, yet he pleaded and pledged metamorphosis. Admittedly, he exhibited indications of amelioration, but this past month has unveiled a stark verity. I am on the cusp of espousing someone who feels neither remorse nor recognizes any repercussions for absconding from his partner's existence for protracted periods. This entire ordeal engulfs me in anxiety, rendering me bewildered. Any guidance on pacifying my nerves or stratagems to gently entice him out of this deleterious manifestation of his depressive episode would be profoundly valued. To preclude omission, I have persistently advocated for him to pursue therapy or contemplate medication. For years, indeed, there exists virtually no likelihood he will heed this counsel from me or anyone within my sphere. It is a wellspring of immense vexation, and not a subject I can broach without prompting his further withdrawal. I shall not entertain allegations of infidelity or exhortations to abandon matrimony. His fidelity is steadfast, yet he contends with profound psychological afflictions, and I intend to espouse him irrespective of external judgments. I merely seek counsel. TLDR, my fiancé persistently disappears for extended periods, and he is doing so even on the day we are to wed, exacerbating my extreme anxiety. Edit: I will no longer be perusing comments. Please desist from messaging me. If you observe a woman earnestly grappling with a quandary and your instinct is to deride her and brand her foolish, then felicitations. My final avenue for seeking aid has failed. Evidently, I had nowhere else to turn. It is my wedding day, and I am reaching out on the internet. I ought not to have anticipated anything beyond derision and ridicule. Perhaps there exists no miraculous remedy to assist him through this epoch of grief, but I did not believe I merited the deluge of cruel messages received so precipitously. To those who messaged me with insults, you have succeeded in silencing me. I was forsaken at the altar yesterday, May 2, 2024. My existence was idyllic, our relationship sublime. until it precipitously disintegrated yesterday. The preceding month felt marginally awry, yet I never anticipated this denouement. My love for him endures ardently, and he assures me of his for me. He wishes to remain together, but declares he cannot embrace matrimony, incapable of extricating the trauma intertwined with it from his tumultuous upbringing, entangled with cult-related issues. My mother considers me a pitiable fool for desiring to remain with him nonetheless, vowing he shall never be welcomed into the family. Yet my heart impels me to stay. However, I am uncertain if I can withstand the perpetual fear, anxiety, and insecurity that accompany being with someone who can depart capriciously. Our nuptials are scheduled for Saturday, and my family insists on perceiving it as a modest familial gathering, since his family remains uninvolved due to the aforementioned cult matters. My life feels utterly dismantled. I stand at a crossroads without direction. The person from whom I sought empathy and solace responded with acrimony, branding me an imbecile. I am only present in the country for this wedding. I reside abroad. My new occupation and my fiancé urged me to adopt my married name professionally. As an educator, all my students know me by his surname. Everything lies in disarray, and I cannot cease weeping. Edit. To elucidate, he departed as we were about to sign the marriage certificate. It is a symbolic abandonment at the altar, as there was never to be an actual altar. Update. I expressed to my mother that her delivery was harsh. She retorted that she is weary of my drama and does not require it at her age. I had already conceded that she was correct and acknowledged her perspective, but merely highlighted the cruelty in her words. She declared she no longer values maintaining a relationship with me, deeming it unworthy of the turmoil at her stage in life. I apologized because she is correct. I am a wretch who failed to perceive how this situation inflicted pain and humiliation upon her as well. I merely desired a pleasant gathering with loved ones. I will endeavor to contain my sorrow to avoid dampening the atmosphere, hoping to salvage it as a celebratory event. Yet, I fear that once I return abroad, this may be the final time my mother ever speaks to me. I do not know how to atone for all she invested in this wedding, but perhaps excising myself from her life will grant her peace and reduced stress, even if it devastates me. Regarding him, I extend heartfelt gratitude to all who offered kindness, advice, and perspectives. Your comments have been a balm, even when they sting, and I may deserve it. We will be conversing in person tomorrow, and I have arranged an emergency therapy session for myself in the morning. I have never ventured into therapy before, and it intimidates me, but I recognize its necessity. My anger towards him for shattering my world is immense, and I question whether the love I harbor can mend this rift. Update. I was forsaken at the altar yesterday. To briefly recapitulate, I was en route to the officiant to formalize my marriage with my fiancé of 4 years. He faltered and confessed he could not proceed, shattering my perception of us. Proceeding to the update, the profound humiliation compelled me to reevaluate all the less than stellar facets of our relationship. He frequently gaslighted me whenever I pointed out discrepancies between his words and actions, claims of respect and care contradicted by behavior. I confronted him, inquiring about his definitions of love, respect, care, and trust. Unsurprisingly, his interpretations were distorted and unhealthy. I endeavored to illuminate this, and he experienced fleeting moments of realization, admitting that perhaps he did not truly trust or respect me. His acknowledgments did not halt the cascade of selfish behaviors throughout our exchange. It was astonishing how I had never before articulated it in a manner he comprehended. He even had the audacity to remark, "We should have had this conversation long ago," as if I had not been attempting for years, only to be dismissed due to his lack of respect and my emotional state. He proposed couples therapy with the intent of eventual marriage. I informed him I would prefer to part ways, feeling the imbalance of power was irreparable. Given how he was finally listening and acknowledging both my feelings and his actions, I entertained a glimmer of hope for a possible friendship in the distant future. But after a tearful, bittersweet farewell, he annihilated that possibility with yet another act of selfishness at the last moment. I had established boundaries against physical affection for multiple reasons, one being his propensity to use it for self-comfort when immersed in self-pity. After spending 3 hours elucidating how he habitually disregarded me, only to gaslight me about it, perhaps it was unkind to withhold that final kiss. However, it felt manipulative. After what I believed was a sincere farewell and a mutual pledge to become better individuals, we parted ways, only for him to rush back in a cliched attempt to kiss me. I recoiled instinctively, staring at him in disbelief. It was as if he had disregarded everything I had just conveyed. That was the moment my sorrow transformed into numb anger. Since then, tears have eluded me. Sadness is absent when I contemplate him, only seething anger. At 28, I feel I have squandered prime years on someone who exhibited utter disregard for me. I have emerged with new insecurities, diminished confidence, and trauma from our 4-year entanglement, and now I must navigate the dating world anew, in a foreign land, no less.